Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 38 of the Talk is Cheap show. Hope you're all healthy and well. Thanks to you all for your continued support. We had great feedback from the show last week featuring myself, Curtis and Jordan Jarrett Bryan, and your responses were very cool. Much appreciated, and we got a great show lined up for you this week, and we hope you will enjoy it. I'm sure you will. But without any further ado, it is my utmost pleasure to introduce my co-host, resident expert, Mr. Curtis Shaw in the house, aka Big C.
How you doing? Yeah, all good, man. Just surviving, you know how it goes.
Okay. Tell the people what you've been up to since last week's show.
Same old, bro. Just working, putting out content on the channel, going gym. Football's back up and running, so we're training again, and just getting by. You know how it is.
Yeah, man. Enough respect. Similar to me, I've just been cracking on with things. The world is slowly returning to the new normal. So
yeah, exactly.
Not back to normal per se, but we're getting there, man. Although there's been a little worrying rise in coronavirus cases, hasn't there? Last week or so. So we hope that the R rate stays down below an acceptable level. Yeah. But anyway, moving on. Just before we start, I just wanted to ask you, is there any truth to the rumours that Lionel Messi was seen in the North London area house hunting, man? In view of a possible move to Arsenal? What are you saying? Have you heard that rumour?
Bro, I think for us to buy Messi, we'd have to sell the stadium, the training ground, everything would have to go.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, that's just a wind-up, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on with things, man. There's been a few stories to hit the headlines since last week's show. Arsenal being that proverbial club, the gift that keeps giving. So, the first news to come out was the, I don't know, is it sacking or leaving on mutual grounds or whatever? Yeah. I don't know quite what it was, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Raul Sanelli.
Yeah. Raul.
Last week, man. And that caused quite a stir, as it should do. You know what I mean? One of the hierarchy of the club responsible for the signings and stuff like that. He's now gone. And it seems to be a bit of conjecture as to why he left. I just wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Do you know what? My initial thought was, brown envelopes are flying everywhere, man.
You gotta be careful what you say, man.
Yeah, I gotta be careful. But I remember when Raul said, when Arsenal knock, we knock different. So when he knocks, maybe he just pushes that envelope through the door, to get the deal done. But nah, listen, I don't want to accuse a man of something without knowing the facts. I think a lot of people, thought when that story came out that Arsenal were going to investigate the Pepe deal, and then all of a sudden he leaves the club, you kind of start putting two and two together. But, Arsenal hired this guy, Tim Lewis, to come and investigate where money was being spent and how it was being spent. And I reckon they've probably looked at Arteta and Edu and thought, you know what? We kind of want to control the transfers. You've got Raul Sanelli there and you're paying him a lot of money to do a job. And maybe they're not happy with the kind of recruitment that's being done. I mean, to me, if I was Mikel Arteta, I would want to have control over the transfers. Emery, when he left, he was moaning a lot that, he was given players he didn't want. He wanted Zaha, we got Pepe and that. So, to me, I think, for Arteta, I think it's good news. I just didn't like the timing of it. Apparently Sanelli's been negotiating the Gabriel move. He's been negotiating Aubameyang's contract renewal. So, like Arsenal, as you say, the gift that keeps on giving, the timing is all over the place. And it just seems strange, They don't seem to know what direction they're going in. It's Mislintat first, then it's Sanelli, and, we're Kia Jarabdin's doing every deal. So, I think overall, right now, we're probably going in the right direction. But, Arteta's going to have to make the right decisions now with Edu.
Yeah. I mean, like you, I was a bit perturbed because the announcement of him leaving came in a couple of days of this announcement that they were scrutinising that Pepe deal. And it emerged that there may be some It's very difficult for me to come out right and say, but you know what I'm getting at, yeah?
Yeah, brown envelopes.
I ain't gonna go that far, man. But in that deal,
Yeah,
and the inference was that maybe there were one or two things going on there that weren't quite the way it should have been. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, he's left the club. So it would appear then that it's Vinesh. I can't pronounce his surname. Vinesh and Edu taken over the transfer dealings. And like you said, that might suit Arteta a bit more. So, for example, as an example of what I'm talking about, last week we discussed on the show that Ainsley Maitland-Niles might be leaving. During our discussion, we said that it was apparent that Mikel Arteta was in favour of keeping the player, but some people on the Arsenal board, namely Sanelli, was probably looking at the money that could be raised. So he was keen to get Ainsley Maitland-Niles through the door for some money. So a bit like what you were saying earlier, this might suit Arteta a bit more. He probably won't be too sad to see Sanelli go. Is that what you're?
Yeah, I mean, I think Arsenal tried, with Gazidis and Wenger, they tried to be very coy, not deal with big agents. I think by bringing Sanelli in, we tried to swim with the sharks, George Mendes, all these big agents who Arsenal haven't worked with for years, all of a sudden we were working with. But I'm not sure we have the money to be dealing with those kind of agents with the money that they want. I think Pepe is a very, very good player, and I think he will become a better player next season under Arteta. But I think having seen him a lot this season, I think we could all agree 72 million was too much money for him. I think at the moment, you are not seeing a 72 million pound player. He should have cost 40 or 50 million possibly. So I think this is where Edu and those guys are looking at it and saying, we can't be making mistakes like that. So we're going to streamline it and try and control the money being spent a little bit more.
Although it's possible that the 72 million could have been hiked, because at the time, I remember there's quite a few clubs interested in it.
Yeah.
You remember at the time when we signed Pepe, it was seen as a coup, wasn't it? Not very much. People were complaining about the price,
Nah.
Because there was a number of clubs that were interested in signing him, and we emerged as the winners of that race. So anyway, like you said, it may suit Arteta a bit more now that Sanelli's gone. We'll just have to wait and see how it all pans out. The second story to emerge last week was our friend, man, Mr. O-Word. He put out a statement of sorts saying that, basically saying, listen, man, I'm not going to be forced out the club. So I'm not going nowhere. So you man going to have to get used to me being around for this extra year. So what's your thoughts on that, man? I mean, I know we've spoken about this many times in the past, but just briefly, what's your views on Ozil's statement? Because I know previously you had some concerns about his apparent lack of desire, what you construe to be his apparent lack of desire. But then there are other people who say, well, listen, man, why should he go? He doesn't, why should he be forced out in this way? So there's two sides to the story. Let me know what you think.
I mean, initially my first approach was from a footballing point of view. It was like, Mesut Ozil, if you're being forced out, why are you not eager to go and play football somewhere else? That was my first thought on it. But from a professional point of view and just from a human point of view, they gave him that contract and that money. And, he has got every right to sit there and say, listen, man, I'm happy in London. My family's settled. I'm picking up a great wage. We're just coming out of a pandemic. Clubs aren't going to pay him what he's getting at Arsenal. I'm going to sit here for a year. So I can see it from both points of view. I think it's a balanced argument. It's not, one-sided. I think he's well within his rights to say, I'm going to sit there and relax and pick up my wage. Arsenal gave him that deal. Well, yeah, that's it. It's just me. I would have liked to have seen a little more hunger from him to say, do you know what? I need to play football. Throughout this whole period, I've never really heard Ozil say, I'm desperate to play football. It's always been, I'm comfortable, I'm going to stay. Whereas, like I said before, when Sanchez got dropped at Man United. Straight away, his agent said he has to play. If he's not playing here, he's going somewhere else. There was a hunger to play. Ozil maybe doesn't have that same hunger, but, you know, who am I to judge him at the end of the day? They gave him a contract, and if he wants to see it out, he's going to see it out, man, or they got to write him a big check.
You know what I mean? You know what it is, right? I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here because start by saying that Ozil's not the most demonstrative of people or players. That's not really in his character. So maybe he's not going to react in the same way that Sanchez did and say, look, I demand to play. Having said that, he's contracted by the club. And these things work both ways, don't they? I mean, he will say, listen, okay, I haven't been selected to play, but it doesn't mean to say that I don't want to play. I'm going to be professional. I'm going to train as required. I'm going to do all the things I can to get back in the team. I want to play for the club. I shouldn't be forced out because of COVID and the club's financial situation. And some people in the club's hierarchy looking to get rid of me on purely financial grounds. I believe I'm worthy of a place in the team and I'm going to fight my way back in. So that could be his thinking. Although I do hear what you say also is that he, you know, if you're, put it this way, if I was in his shoes, I'd probably say the same thing, man. And I'm sure you probably as well, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Who's going to give it? He'll be lucky to get half that wage at any other club at this stage. My issue more is from a footballing point of view. If Mesut Ozil was still doing the business and they're paying him 350 grand, by all means, keep him at the club. Don't force him out. My issue more is you're paying him 350 and he's not really produced on the pitch. That's my issue. But listen, I think Mesut Ozil will be at Arsenal until the last day of his contract. I can't see him getting him out. And I think Arteta's going to have to involve him at some stage. I would probably use him sparingly, shall I say. I would use him maybe in the Europa League. If you're playing against teams who are very defensive and you need a little creativity, I would use him. But he wouldn't necessarily be in the team every week for me. Yeah.
Okay, then. Well, we don't want to belabor that. Several times before, but it's just because that news broke last week. I thought it's only right that we comment tonight. More positive news was the signing of Willian. So I know you were a big fan of signing Willian. Now that we've got him, I guess you're happy. And what kind of role do you see him playing in the team?
Funnily enough, I think he could actually be in that 10 role where Mesut Ozil was playing, because I look at him, I feel like Willian is like the new modern number 10. You want somebody who can run, who can shoot, who can pass. He ticks all those boxes. I think we said last week on the show with Jordan that I think he's lucky to get a 3-year deal at the age of 32. But I don't think we should look too much into that. Let's just look at the immediate future. I think Willian, certainly for this season, can be a very good and effective player for us. He gives us experience. You know, he scored goals last season. He's a quality player on the ball. I mean, every time we play against Chelsea, somebody I always look at and think, you've got to keep him quiet. He's a problem. So, personally, I'm very happy to get him on a free as well. I think is a bargain.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I was one of those that I wasn't wholly convinced at the beginning. But now that we've signed him, I mean, everybody knows he's a quality player. A bit like you, I was just a bit concerned about the length of the deal. And I was also a little bit concerned that aesthetically, the way it looked, I was thinking, look, you know, we need to be attracting younger players with more market value, leading a club in a certain direction. But listen, man, he's here now. He's a good player. Let's hope that he can remain injury-free and we get the best out of him. Just want to touch on something you mentioned there. You're talking about him in that number 10 role, but do you really see him as a creator?
I mean, I think he can. I mean,
supposed to have been doing, you know, through midfield. Do you see him as a creator? Is that more his game, or is he mainly running at players and, you know what I mean, a sort of midfielder come winger type thing?
Yeah. Do you know what? I think he can do both, Laurie. I mean, you look, he got 7 assists in the league this season. That's in a team with Tammy Abraham and Giroud leading the line. I mean, no disrespect. You know, I don't want to say too much about either one of them, but, you know.
You're not a big fan of Tammy Abraham.
I'm not a big fan of Tammy. And Giroud, although I think he's half decent, you know, he's not he's not Aubameyang's level, let's say.
No.
So I think if Willian's playing in that 10 role with an Aubameyang in front of him and a Pepe and Lacazette, people like that, I think he can create as well. You know, I mean, 7 assists. I don't think anybody in our team got 7 assists in the Premier League this season. Maybe Saka was the closest. So, yeah, I think Willian can do both, and he's got a great shot as well, and he takes set pieces as well. So I think he offers us a lot, man.
Yeah, man, I would agree. He's a midfielder that scores goals, and it's a long time since we can say that. So, yeah, man, let's welcome him aboard, and let's put all those negativity thoughts that we have into one side. That's and hope he does well, which I'm sure he probably will. Let's see. Okay, you mentioned Aubameyang there. The Aubameyang saga rolls on into...
Carries on.
But there does seem to be some positivity, some light at the end of the tunnel. And everyone I've seen and read and heard from seems to be saying that, you know, it's a case of sooner rather than later, maybe even as soon as this coming weekend. I mean, I even heard some talk that they're delaying the formal announcement of him signing the contract while they're in sync with the new kit that's supposed to come out. So what's your thoughts on the Aubameyang thing then?
I mean, all I can say, if Aubameyang doesn't renew his contract after what he's been doing over the last few weeks, I think he will go down in history as one of the most disliked players ever, because this man's putting out cryptic messages. He's on holiday wearing Arsenal shirts. His family are all in shirts. The kids are wearing the shirt. He must be signing the deal. All of the press seem confident that it's done. Arsenal return to training this weekend, so you would maybe think that they'll get some sort of promotional video done. I think they'll release this as if it's like a new signing when, you know, they announce it. As you say, the new kit's coming out, the away kit. So, you know, they may tie the two things in together. I think the deal's done. And I think, as I said before, I think this is bigger than any potential transfer coming in, is look after what you've got first of all before you add to it. And he's our best player. And I think, you know, he can lead us forward in the future. So I can't wait for it to be announced.
Agreed. And pardon the pun, but the signs look good.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. Okay, moving on then, because I know we've discussed that one a lot in recent weeks and recent times. George Lewis, that's an interesting one. We've signed him formally now. George Lewis, what are you doing, bro? The Norwegian sensation.
Jeez, yeah.
Norwegian second division, no less. You know what I mean? Some would say that the signing of Aubameyang and Willian, you know, you've gone from the sublime now to sign George Lewis are ridiculous, but I'm not going to say that. No. Listen, you know what? This is quite a good story because apparently he came here on trial, didn't he?
Yeah.
Back in March or somewhere like that. Start of the year on a trial, and he really impressed. So much so that he's now ended up with a contract, man. He's a winger. Apparently he's rapid, pace to burn, and his attitude is good. And there's a lot of high hopes around the club, apparently, that he's going to do well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's got to offer. I mean, I think he's going to be with the under-23s for the time being.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. Seeing how that all pans out. What are you saying, man?
Yeah, all jokes aside, man, I was only joking. Look, at the end of the day, we've bought players for big money before with big reputations who've done nothing, you know. So I'm not going to judge a player before he's even played. I mean, I always say before that I played against Vardy when he was in the lower leagues. This guy, last season finished top goal scorer in the Premier League. So you can't judge a player by where he is. It's where he ends up. So, you know, they say he was really impressive in that trial. So give him a chance. Yeah, I don't know if he's hardly cost any money. Why not, man? Sometimes you got to unearth a gem from somewhere. So, you know, let's hope he can be a good player for us.
And it has to be said as well that, okay, when he first come for the trial, Arteta wasn't there. Okay. He pressed sufficiently for them to offer him a deal. Obviously, Arteta's seen him since then. And Mikel Arteta, say what you want about him, but he doesn't look the kind of guy that's impressed easily.
No.
I've seen a lot of players, you know, as a player and as a coach and now as a manager. So, you know, I'm sure he's seen pretty much everything there is to see. So for him to endorse it, I think that sends out the right signal. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to seeing the young man do his thing, man. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
man.
sure he'll get a couple of opportunities as well, won't they?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You know, some of the cup competitions and that.
Yeah.
Continues to make progress. Yeah, could be exciting.
Yeah, man.
Okay, then moving on. Then, so the signing that's got everyone talking. Will he? Won't he? Well, actually, there's two. But let's deal with this one first. Gabriel, the defender, Lille defender currently. Initially, it was Arsenal, Everton, and Napoli, I believe, who were the runners. Everton dropped out, and now it seems like a straight race between us and Napoli, with Arsenal being the slight favourites. Because I'm hearing, I hope I'm right, that Gabriel's expressing an interest to play for Arsenal over and above Napoli. Although apparently they're offering him more wages. So, what's your thoughts on that one, man?
Yeah,
we do need him, that's for sure.
We definitely need a defender.
Problems are legendary, so we do need him.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I just listened to an interview just before the show. Actually, Jose Font was on the radio, former Southampton defender, and he is the centre-back partner of Gabriel at Lille. And he was saying how Gabriel's been asking him a lot of questions about the Premier League, and he was saying, you know, young players dream about playing in the Premier League. So he never even mentioned the Italian league. So hopefully he's dropping hints there. I mean, I think we've done Napoli 3 or 4 times in transfer business. They actually agreed a deal for Pepe, and then we got him. They wanted Torreira, they wanted Leno. I'm confident we'll get him. I never like to be too confident with Arsenal, but in a straight shootout with Napoli, I feel like we'll have the advantage. We got the Brazilian links with Edu, Willian, David Luiz, Martinelli. You know, Napoli are in the Europa League like us. I think we're a bigger club than Napoli. You know, we won a trophy as well. I think Gabriel will come to Arsenal. I'm going to stick my neck out. I think we'll get this one done.
Yeah, you're right about the Brazilian connection as well, because he won't want for, you know what I mean, people to socialise with and and, you know, help him get accustomed to the culture over there. You got David Luiz, you got Martinelli, you got Willie, Edu, and now Gabriel. So
and also he was Pepe's teammate as well at Lille the year before, so he knows Pepe as well.
Of course, yeah, that's a good point, man. Yeah, I'm sure Pepe filled him in. You know yeah, man. Let's wait and see. But from what I'm hearing, man, it looks likely, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it looks more likely than unlikely, shall we say?
Yeah. The press seem to be feeding it out a lot, so maybe Arsenal are leaking it out to say that, you know, this one's going to happen. I've been watching a bit of him lately, actually, just trying to catch up, and he seems very good, commanding, good on the ball, strong as well. A little rash at times, you know, he's only 22, so he will make the odd mistake, but he looks very good, man. So, I hope we get this one done.
Yeah, and of course, we got Saliba as well. The deal's been done a while ago now, and a lot of people are talking big things about this guy. So you never know. On the horizon, the defence is looking like it sort itself out.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, so let's look at some of the possible outs then. There's been a little talk about Socrates.
Yeah.
Possibly heading out the door. And he's been linked with 2 Serie A clubs, Napoli and Roma. And I'm sure you'd be sad to see him go, wouldn't you?
Yeah, terribly sad. I mean...
No, mate. Listen, you know what? Socrates, when he first come, I really thought that he was going to be exceptional for us. You know what I mean? He looked the part, man. Big, strong guy, no-nonsense defender. Apparently, he's a lot quicker than what he looks. A lot of people were talking positively about it, but it hasn't quite worked out, has it?
No.
Look for him, a few of them, man, at the back, hasn't worked out for them. So,
no. I mean, one thing I'll give Socrates credit, he gives his all. I think his commitment's always been there. I just felt we could.
He also scores the odd goal as well, doesn't he?
He does score the odd goal, yeah.
So
he seems very passionate about the club, but for me, he's just. I put him in the mix with all the other centre backs. For me, like you could pick any one of them defenders out of a hat, and nothing really improves in our team. So for me, Socrates, all of them, man, they can all They can all go. I hope he's the first of 2 or 3 centre-backs that leave the club.
So by that, then, would you also include Rob Holding in that? Because he's been linked with a move to Leeds.
Yeah, Rob Holding. I mean, you mentioned to me off air that Rob Holding, I think you said he's been at the club for 4 years now, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, I look at Holding, I mean, has he really improved at Arsenal? I think when he first came, there was a lot of excitement about him. I think the injury, he had a really bad injury, which was unfortunate, but how long can you wait for a guy to improve, And I think, when he gets isolated one-on-one, I think he's quite weak. He's not quite quick enough. Leeds are interested in him. If they were willing to pay maybe close to £20 million for him, I think I'd be accepting it, unfortunately, for Rob Holding. But, yeah.
It could be a thing like guilty by association, isn't it? Because
it could be, yeah.
The fact that, the other guys haven't performed that well. He's been performing in a back 4 or a back 3 that hasn't always covered themselves in glory.
No.
So automatically get tarnished. So, because there have been times when he's looked good.
Yeah.
I mean, some of his FA Cup performances are very good. So, I don't know with that one, He's only a young guy as well. He's been at Arsenal for a while. Do they sell him on and then he gets to Leeds and then he starts looking accomplished and everyone says, well, how could you have let him go? Look, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? But
yeah.
He wouldn't be the first one out the door. When I look at the centre-backs, I'd be looking at Mustafi and Socrates and them people to go before Holding. But, of course, there'll be interest in Holding because he's 24, he's English. There'll be more clubs, I'm sure, looking at him than say, a Mustafi. So,
yeah.
You're right, though. It's a good point. If we put a better defence around him, then maybe Holding would improve. He'd look better.
Yeah. It's interesting to see how that one will play out, man. I'm kind of torn a little bit, you know what I mean? Because I quite like him to do well.
Yeah.
He looks committed. He looks the part. And when he has played well, he has played well. It's just that, like I said, when you're in a team that, the perception is the defense is quite poor, then you automatically get tarnished, like I said earlier. Yeah, we'll see what happens there, man. We'll see what happens there. Right, Danny Ceballos.
Yeah.
He's another one. He had a bit of a... Well, you know what? He had a really good debut, didn't he? I remember me and you was at the game. I think it was Burnley, wasn't it? He was on fire.
Yeah.
And then he come off the pitch, everyone was talking, he's the new Santi, blah, blah, blah. Then he went a bit quiet for him. But to his credit, especially post-COVID, well, I won't say post-COVID, but, after we came back after the break for COVID, he did play very well. And he's established himself back in the affections of a lot of fans. The only problem is a loan deal.
Yeah.
So do we extend it? I mean, does he go back to Real Madrid, which is unlikely? And then the Real Betis thing popped up.
Yeah.
Because I know he's got connections with Real Betis, isn't he?
Yeah, he has.
And was it you that was telling me that he was on holiday pictured in a Real Betis shirt?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Was that by design or was that, he just happened to be wearing it? Was he trying to send out a signal there? What? I don't know.
It's an interesting one because for me, I mean, I don't know what you think. I think Ceballos is our best centre midfielder. Personally, when I look at the other ones, I think Ceballos is the best out of the bunch. He's 24, Spanish international. Personally, I'd like to see Arsenal sign him on a permanent. I don't think they'll buy him this summer. I think what they're going to try and do is get him back on loan with the option to buy him at the end of next season. From what I hear, Ceballos enjoyed his time at Arsenal and he's keen to come back. But, as you say, he likes Real Betis. And I think, you look at the players who get in the Spanish team, the majority of them play in Spain. So maybe he thinks with the Euros next year, is it easier for him to get in that Spanish squad if he's in La Liga than over in the Premier League? So that's how, I don't know how it works over there. I'll be disappointed if we don't get him back because I really like him. Very passionate as well.
Yeah. I like him as well. I think, what, the overriding factor in all of this is going to be how much game time we can give it.
Yeah.
If he's not getting the game time, then obviously, like any player,
it's going to be elsewhere. Well, most players.
Most players, man, if they're not getting that game time, man, they're already thinking, well, you know what? Do I want to sit here and stagnate on Arsenal's bench when I could be playing for Real Betis or other clubs? You know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure that his agent would be making those points to Arteta and saying, listen, man, what's your plan for him? You know, he finished the season well. I mean, listen, he'll be actually, his agent will be able to negotiate from a position of strength, I would have thought, wouldn't he? Because he finished the season strong. He was one of our better players, no doubt about it, at the conclusion of the season just gone. So I'm sure his agent will be saying, listen, man, what's the plan, man? Because, you know, I mean, they're one of the options there. We'd love to stay. However, he's a young guy. He's got aspirations of being in the Spanish squad as a regular. We've got the Euros coming up next year. He wants to be playing. He's young, dynamic, effervescent. He's keen. We like it at Arsenal. However, man, you know what I mean? The key thing is playing time.
Exactly.
So I'm sure that conversation is being had. But by all accounts, Arteta really likes him, right?
Yeah, and I'm glad because people were saying at first that Arteta wasn't keen on him, but towards the end of the season he played every game, built up a good little partnership with Xhaka, scored that vital goal against Sheffield United in the quarterfinal. You know, even I saw one video where, when Aubameyang scored the winner in the cup final, like he's on the floor banging the ground, like he's so passionate. And I just thought, for me, man, we need to be getting him back. I think, I'd love to see a midfield of maybe like, Ceballos and Partey or something next season. But, we can only hope.
Yeah. I would agree with you on all of that, man. We've got to try and get him to stay. Yeah. Lacazette. This time surrounding a possible move to Juve. And it would appear that there is some mileage in this because I'm reading that Juve have sent over a delegation to discuss the possible transfer of Lacazette to Juve. So there is some mileage in this story. Listen, man, I'm going to put my cards on the table. For the viewers out there, they probably know already. I'm a big fan of Lacazette. Okay, he hasn't had the best of season in terms of goal scoring form, man, but I'm definitely a Lacazette fan. Not fanboy, but fan. I'd like him to stay. But I know you've got some reservations about the amount of goals he gets. So what's your thoughts, man?
No, I'm similar to you, Laurie. I'm a big fan of Lacazette. I really like him as a player. I like what he offers. I do have reservations about the goals. I think every season he's finished 7 or 8 goals short of where he probably should be for a player of his ability. 10 league goals this season. For me, he should be scoring more than that. I'm slightly concerned because I think Juventus, I think that could happen if they really went for him because, number one, if Juve come in for him, he's going to be interested. They're talking about they want a striker to play off Ronaldo, somebody who can hold the ball up. He's going to tick those boxes. That's what he's good at. They're getting rid of the likes of Higuain and that. Will it be for cash? Will it be a swap deal? They're talking about a few players they might offer. The players they're talking about, I don't really like the sound of. They're kind of players at the back end of the career or a little bit past it. If you were going to give us like a Dybala or someone, then maybe I'd be interested. But they're talking about Rugani and Douglas Costa and players like that. If you don't get a great offer for Lacazette, then I wouldn't entertain it because at the end of the day, if Aubameyang was to get an injury, then you're playing Eddie up front. Now, for me, we've had this discussion before. Eddie can't be leading the line for Arsenal if we want to get back in the Champions League. So I'd like to have Lacazette and Aubameyang there, at least for one more year with Lacazette and see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I mean, listen, man, for the naysayers, the season before the one just gone, he was voted by the fans as their player of the season, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. And okay, he's not the most prolific in front of goal, but he does weigh in with a few goals. Maybe he should be getting more. I agree with that. But it's his contribution as well on the pitch. He seems a great team man. He's got a great partnership with Aubameyang. They seem to have a lot of respect for each other, and indeed the whole team. Yeah, you can just see the way the players interact with him. and the manager as well. That everyone's got a lot of respect for him, a lot of regard for him.
Yeah,
I like the work he puts in, man.
yeah,
But listen, at the end of the day, the currency for strikers does appear to be goals, and perhaps doesn't get enough goals. But I would like to see him stay for a more year, man. And like you said, if you're going to talk about getting rid of a striker like Lacazette, you've got to look at who you're going to bring in. What's your option? Who's around? And how much you're going to pay to bring somebody in to replace him. And as you articulated earlier, the options don't appear to be that great. And if they was to get somebody of a similar ilk, they're going to have to spend a lot of money. You know what I mean? So, and I would argue that there are other areas of the pitch that we need to be focusing on. One of those areas, actually, I'm going to come on to now, is that central midfield area, and then the ongoing saga with the Thomas Partey transfer.
Yeah.
This one it seems to be stuck on grooves, isn't it? It's not moving, man. Atletico now out of the Champions League, of course. That could hasten his departure. What's your thoughts? Is this going to happen or not?
I think it's in the balance. I do think Arsenal want it to happen, but Atletico seem to have made it clear. If you want him, pay the release clause. Don't come to the table with any negotiation. They don't want swap deals. Pay the money. And Arsenal don't seem to want to pay the money. And that's where the problem lies. If you want him, you've got to pay it. I think we alluded to it last week. This, for me, is probably one of the biggest transfers we need to make this summer. I think it's a role and a position in the team that we've needed to sort out for a long time. And, I think we're lucky even the fact that it seems we're in pole position to get him, because I'm surprised that like a Real Madrid, a Man City, someone else isn't coming in for him. So I think we've got to get this done sooner rather than later. As you said, Atletico are out now. So, surely this is the time to get it done if you're going to do it. So I think if we don't get him, it'll be purely financial why we haven't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. I mean, why this deal hasn't been done yet? I mean, okay, you alluded to the fact that Atletico made it clear that they want the release clause paid up before they'll even talk about anything else. So why also don't just get that done, man? I mean, now that Sanelli's gone, maybe things might change, but it really needs to happen, because we do actually we've got a real need for the club guy, you know what I mean? I don't know, maybe are the club thinking that because Granit Xhaka performed a lot better during the latter half of last season, that, he could fulfill that role? I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I don't want to get carried away with that form, I'm telling you. I know Xhaka improved in the second half of the season, but nah, he doesn't fit that role that we need, man. Like, don't get me wrong, Xhaka can be involved and maybe in a midfield three with a Partey and maybe a Ceballos or someone like that, but he can't be the guy we build our midfield around. I mean, he's been at the club a long time, and we've seen that, just when you think Xhaka's getting somewhere, he does something stupid. So nah, we need Partey, man. That's the one.
Yeah,
pay the money, man.
I agree. Yeah, in life, if you want something, you got to pay the money. So the club have got to proverbially put their hands in their pockets, man, and come up with the money, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then finally, we touched on it earlier, the Angel and Maitland-Niles. Last week we were discussing a very strong possibility of him going, but now that has changed somewhat. Now with the departure of Raul Sanelli, who was supposed to be, from what we're hearing anyway, he was like the catalyst for getting Ainsley Maitland-Niles out the door for 30 million. Now he's gone. Maybe there might be a shift.
Yeah.
Keep him. What's your thoughts there, man? Would you keep him, or would you still sell him if they got decent money for him?
I wouldn't be in a rush to sell him. My only worry with Ainsley is where you're going to play him. Personally, I think he's the best right back at the club. I think he's better than Bellerin. But it's whether he wants to play there. He seems to. I know. We said last week, he said that he hasn't got a problem with playing there. Because in the middle,
the story that I heard, right, and it was from a good source that I can't reveal, was the whole "I don't want to play right back" was overblown. Apparently, he'd said that his preference was midfield, but he would play where asked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he'd made that clear to those within the club. So what I was hearing was that people were saying, yeah, he stated many times he doesn't want to do this and that. Well, he may have said that previously, but he went on to qualify the statement later on by saying, listen, you know, my preferred position is midfield. However, if I'm asked to, I will love the club. If I'm asked to play at right back, I will play there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no. So yeah, I'd be keeping him. I think it's important to have players who've come through the system. You saw his performance in the cup final, in the semi-final. He was brilliant, playing left wing back. You know, he kept Mahrez quiet in the semi-final. So yeah, I'd be keeping Ainsley, man. And you know, don't create more problems for yourself. We've already got a window where we're going to have to fix a lot of problems. And I think, you know, don't go and create more problems by selling a Maitland-Niles or a Lacazette or someone like that. Get rid of the weaker ones first.
Okay. Yeah. Well said. So that kind of rounds off all the transfers. I just want to throw it open to you. Is there anyone out there that you've seen that you just particularly caught your eye, or any one of those transfers that you'd really like to get through the door? I guess you did allude to the Thomas Partey. You definitely want to see that.
Yeah. Partey and Gabriel, I think, are the two. Obviously, I was saying Coutinho was one I really wanted. That one seems to be going a little quiet now. Barcelona have appointed Ronald Koeman today. They're saying Ronald Koeman might want to keep him next season, so that one maybe has gone. I think there's a guy called Sabitzer, is it, who played for Leipzig. He looks a good player.
Right.
But yeah, no, apart from that, I think the targets we're going in for, let's just try and get them done. If we ended up with like Willian, Gabriel, Partey, I think, you know, that's a very good window considering how last season went.
And so if Lionel Messi was to follow through with this rumor about him wanting to leave, you'd say, actually, no, it's all right, man. It's all right, Messi. We've got Willian and the likes of Ceballos and man like that.
Listen, man, we've got George Lewis, man. We don't need Messi.
That could be a good title for the show.
Yeah, it could be, man.
Who needs Messi when you've got George Lewis, man?
Oh, Big George, man. Oh, that Norwegian second division, mate. I'm telling you.
Well, you got to start from somewhere, innit? You know
exactly, man. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, so you got to start from somewhere, bro. You know what I mean? Even the likes of Lionel Messi had to start lower down the pecking order, man. But hey, okay. So thanks for that, man.
No
Very
problem.
good. We want to round off the show now. Just got a couple of things I wanted to chat with you about, man. First up, let's talk about the new away kit that comes out this week, man. Because I spoke to you about it earlier. And you were less than impressed with what you saw. And I must admit, you sent me the picture, and I don't know if the viewers can see it there. Hang on. That's it. With like a splash of paint on it. You know what? I might have to pass on that one. I don't know, man. It could be one of those that when you see other people out there wearing it, it might grow in you, you know what I mean? But initially, man, you know what I mean? It doesn't really grab me as much as the one I've got on.
That one's a lot.
I saw that one, I was like, yeah, man, I've got to buy that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I have to admit, sometimes I think, you know, these companies, they try and do too much when, you know, all this paint bit, you know what I mean? Just make a nice, clean kit. And, well, like you said, you know, if they announce a Aubameyang new contract wearing it, all of a sudden I lose my head. I'm in the shop buying it the same day. So we'll see.
Yeah. Like I said, it might grow on me, man, but initially, it's a bit like sometimes when you, these things are a bit like when you hear a new tune.
Yeah.
You think, oh, man, that's not all that. And then the more you hear it, and then you see the video, and then you see other people around, you know what I mean, rocking it.
Yeah.
You think, you know what? Yeah. And then you end up liking it. So maybe it might be the same with that kit. But I have to say, my first impressions, I wasn't overwhelmed.
Nah, you're in no rush to order it, are you?
Not at the moment in time.
No.
But then you see thousands of fans all over the place with it on, and you know what I mean? You're thinking, you know what? Yeah, I might give it a look, but we'll see, man. We'll see. Okay. Right. As you mentioned earlier, the players report back to training this week. Man.
Yeah.
It's been a quick turnaround, isn't it?
Yeah, man. Obviously, with all the break and stuff like that, being off for so long, and obviously they've got to start the season quickly because of the Euros next summer. So yeah, Arsenal report back on Saturday apparently. So
you're an ex-player. So what type of things do you think they'll be doing?
I mean, they haven't, because they haven't had much time off. I don't think their fitness levels will have dropped too much. I mean, you know, you always had them summers where like a Ben Arthur would come back like 3 stone overweight or something like that.
Yeah,
you know, they've only had like 3 weeks off, so I reckon their fitness levels will be quite good. Obviously, Community Shield's coming up. They'll play a few friendlies. I mean, the season starts in less than a month, so
yeah. I'm pretty sure there would have been a couple of those legendary Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
Making sure they're checking their weight.
Yeah.
In the odd 5K run every other day or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's it, man.
But, I mean, listen, we say it's an early comeback, but, you know, they were off for quite a long period of time. Remember, they stopped in March and then they started playing again in June. So, you know.
The only thing is, I think that time when they was off, I mean, number one, I think they still had to train. And I think mentally it was very, you know, it was quite a stressful period for most people. So I think it was still important for them to have the 3-week break, and most of them probably gone on holiday and that. So,
and they ended the season on a high with that FA Cup.
Exactly. So the players should be buzzing to come back. You know, there should be a feel-good factor at Arsenal now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and that brings me quite nicely on to the next thing I was going to say, because we got the Community Shield coming up in a week's time.
Yeah.
So you know they'll be looking forward to playing in that game.
Yeah.
I would argue that the Community Shield's got a bit more resonance than it normally would. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why the Community
Shield at Wembley.
Yeah, for me, you know, the Community Shield I think should be a big game in English football. It's kind of frowned upon, like, oh, it's a glamorous friendly, if you like. But to me, you know, that should be like, it's the opening showpiece of the season. You won the league, we won the cup. Let's see who can win. So I really hope Arsenal win this. I think that'll give us a massive boost going into the season. So, yeah, I'm sure we'll preview the game more next week. But, yeah, I hope Arsenal go for that, because Klopp's already making excuses saying he's going to have to play a weaker team and, you know, all this. So, yeah, let's see how it goes.
I agree with you, man. I mean, the Community Shield, let's keep it 100, man. It's not on the levels of the other cup competitions. But I'm quite looking forward to it, you know what I mean? Not least because we're involved. But, you know, like you said, it's a showpiece event. It's basically opening up the new season's a couple of weeks after that, man. But I'm sure a lot of fans, even the neutral fans, will be looking forward to that game.
Yeah.
Arsenal versus Liverpool at Wembley, nothing else on. So, yeah, man, I think we'll be going out to win it, man.
Yeah, man.
We have won it quite a few times in the past, so why not? Then?
Why not?
I'm looking forward to that game. Yeah. And, of course, the fixture list comes out this week as well.
Yeah.
That's always quite an exciting look. You get to see who we're playing and when, and you know what I mean, it's kind of whets the appetite for the game. So are you going to be looking out for it this week?
Yeah, I will be looking out for it. I mean, I'm hoping we get a nice like home game against somebody mid-table. You know, we need a nice easy 3 points. I remember that year under Emery when we had like Man City and then Chelsea.
Yeah.
It was like, come on, man, give us a chance to settle down. So hopefully we get something a little more straightforward, man.
Yeah, but you know what? After what we've had to endure recently with no football, man, I think I speak on behalf of everybody that loves football. You just have to see it back, aren't you?
Yeah, it's brilliant. I have to admit, you know, I think the Premier League and football in general, but I thought the Premier League did a brilliant job. The way they brought football back and how they've handled the cases and stuff, I thought they did really well. And I've actually got used to watching football with no fans. Like,
yeah.
You know, I've kind of adjusted to it now. So,
you know what? That's a great way to end the show, man. Yeah, shout out to the Premier League and all the authorities, everybody, all the players, the staff, everybody that's managed to get the great game going again, man. It's been great to do, and I'm kind of looking forward already, isn't it? I mean, that's that's what's happening. Everyone's looking forward already.
Yeah.
To the next season, which is what, just over 3 weeks away. So that's a great way to end the show, man. Yeah, looking forward to it. And before we go, just tell the people what you going to be up to in the coming weeks, man, where they can find you.
Yeah, check out the channel, Curtis Shaw TV. Lots of content on there. Got a few people coming on there in the next week or so. And yeah, just come over and have a look, man.
Yeah, man, big up to you. I know you went past your 10K subscribers, man. Thoroughly.
Yeah, man. Yeah, respect, bro. Thank you, man.
Yeah, man, I always tune in, and I hope people out there will give Curtis the support he both needs and he deserves. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, crack on with that, my brother. You're doing well. And just to say also, before I go, thanks to all the people supporting the show. Continue to let us have your comments and your messages. We look forward to interacting with you. Like I said, we've had some great feedback from last week's show, and we got a few ideas, haven't we, Curtis? Me and you, to introduce more guests and to, you know, make some interesting changes to the show that we hope the fans or the people out there will like. So yeah, man, keep supporting, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And yeah, we look forward to seeing you next week, and we'll have another great show for you.
Robbie here from AFTV. We just got to say a big thank you to everybody who follows us across our various channels. Over 1 million followers on YouTube. Don't forget, you can now also catch us on Reddit. We're on Reddit, so get involved with us on Reddit and also on TikTok. Keep it AFTV, baby, right here.